I think it was a good performance, far from perfect. Perfect would have meant a win for the Black Stars, of course. But there were lots of positives from the performance yesterday, apart from just the result. I think, first of all, it was important that Ghana avoided defeat because going into that game, the Central African Republic had won and moved level on points with the Black Stars with 7 points. That meant that if Ghana had won the game yesterday, Angola would have been eliminated and Ghana would have qualified. So it wasn't, it definitely wasn't easy. The permutations didn't favor the Angolans, so they were under a lot more pressure. So the intensity from them, the desire, the motivation was a lot bigger going into that game against Ghana. But I think Ghana responded well, given the circumstances, because they were without Thomas Partey in the starting lineup, and that's a big, big miss. The head coach decided to play a player like Edmond Ado, a double pivot, I think because he expected the pressure to come from the Angolans, and they fared well. Many people were worried about the midfield partnership, and I think it was okay. And then they conceded a penalty, and from then on, Ghana were chasing the game, and they needed to respond. And I think this is where a lot of people were impressed with Chris Hughton. He brought on new players, brought on new wingers, took out Mohamed Kudus, who arguably has been Ghana's best player abroad. But over the two games against Angola, he hasn't exactly been stellar. He's not had a good international break. So, and when Ghana is chasing a game, and Kudus Mohamed is Ghana's top scorer abroad, to make a decision to take him out was a very, very bold one. But the coach made the decision and took out Mohamed Kudus, brought on Joseph Pinso, brought on Ashimeru, brought on Osman Bukari, and it was his substitute who contributed the goal. Inaki Williams also came in, and it was Inaki's fake, a dummy, and a flick that set up Joseph Pinso, his cut back onto Osman Bukari, and he buried it in the back of the net. And I think this is what you need, because in the first game against Angola, it was another substitute who got the win for Ghana in Kumasi. And then the equalizer also came from a substitute. So that's everything we need to know about the kind of manager Ghana has in Chris Hughton. A manager who reads the game, whose substitutions are impactful, and a man that is very, very bold in his decision-making. The first bold decision he's made, of course, was dropping Andre Ayew from the starting lineup for Thursday's game. And there was a lot of talk about that decision. Of course, Ayew didn't travel for the away game. But he also made another bold decision to bench Thomas Partey, it wasn't like Partey was so injured that he couldn't play. It was just a cautious decision. They didn't want to risk it. And in an African qualifier where one of your best players, or perhaps your best player, is carrying an injury, we've seen it many times where the players have gone on to play through the pain. But he says, no, I'm not going to risk it. And that's how much he believed in the other options that he had. And the decision to also take out Kudus and bring in substitutes, and the substitutes came on, rescue the game. I think this international break, Chris Hughton certainly has been the man that has won many hearts. I'm not going to lie. Of course, he's only been in charge for 2 matches, but from what everybody has seen, you could tell that he got these 4 points from the bench because of the way he managed the games. And I think that is massive credit to him. 8 points, Ghana's still comfortable. They play Madagascar, who are bottom of the group in June. That's away from home, of course. And if Ghana can win that game, they go to 11 points. They would have sealed qualification. And that would be important because then that one game that is remaining in September against the Central African Republic could then just become another avenue for Ghana to experiment and try new players.
Let's talk about African players now. When they play abroad and coming back to play in their homeland, there's a lot of difference. What do you think is the reason for this? Because we've seen a couple of players, most especially the Super Eagles of Nigeria, a lot of fans are saying they do not play the way we see them play for their club sides. What do you think is the difference?
I think this is a very interesting question, because it's something that we all talk about. The sports journalists, we discuss this all the time. And it's difficult to pinpoint one particular reason why African players come back home and struggle. I think one of the things people talk about is the facility, the quality of the pitches. And you see, I don't agree with the people that would say, but this is where they train, this is where they played before they left. That is true, but also in their professional life, they've not played on any of these pitches ever. Okay, so they play in high quality, and the reason you're seeing them perform so well week in, week out is also because of the facilities and the pitches they play in week in, week out. So when they come and the conditions are different, it's really difficult for them to play. There were lots of question marks over the pitch at the Baba Yara Sports Stadium. And we went to Angola, it was the same. And I saw Nigerians complaining about the pitch at the Moshood Abiola Stadium as well. So all of those things impact on performers. And these players, for the better part of their careers, maybe the last 10 years, they spent it in Europe. They are used to certain standards. So when they come back home and the facilities are not the same, it's obvious they will struggle. That's one. Another thing is the quality of the players they play around. So, I mean, you take Victor Osimhen, for example. Look at the players he plays around with, the players who play around him. You know, Kvaratskhelia, it's or Cravadona, many people call him.
Yeah,
one of the most creative players in Europe at the moment. I mean, Nigeria has got some good quality players as well, but none of them is of that quality. Look at the midfielders that play behind him. Do they have the same understanding? Because I think sometimes we expect too much from our players because, see, at club level, the players that they train with them every single day. The chemistry develops over that. You know, the synergy is there. You can close your eyes and know where, you know, Osimhen can close his eyes and know where Cravadona would put the ball. Okay, maybe Kudus can close his eyes and he knows where Brian Brobe or he knows where Dusan Tadic would put the ball. When he comes to the national team, he has maximum 2 training sessions, Udoka, with the national team before they play a match. How much can you know about a teammate in 2 training sessions? So that's also one thing. And that's why sometimes we struggle to really see attractive football at the national team level because it's impossible. And look around the world. Which national team has ever won a trophy by playing swashbuckling, attractive football? It doesn't happen. National team football is all about being pragmatic, getting the wins as they come. Because you simply don't have that time. The coaches simply don't have enough time to play the most attractive football you want to see. Even when Spain played that kind of football and won the World Cup in 2010 or the Euros in 2008 or 2012, that's because 75% of the squad they had came from Barcelona. They trained together every single week. So it was really easy for them to uproot that particular style onto the national team. But look at Argentina. They didn't win the World Cup by playing any attractive football. If you go back 4 years, Germany, it's the same thing. Okay, in 2018, France, it was about being pragmatic. France won the World Cup by being pragmatic. Nobody remembers any kind of attractive, really fun, outgoing kind of football that they played. No, it was, you know, bang, bam, and game over. It's that kind of thing. So it's a national team syndrome. And sometimes it's really difficult. If you look at the national teams around the world, a lot of them individual quality sometimes come to play. It is not necessarily because the players are individually, you know, or collectively as a team, they play so well. So I can understand why some of our players struggle when they come to the national teams. The quality, the quality around them is not the same. The pitches are not the same. And they don't have enough time to even get to know their teammates, even if they are quality.